South Russell Village Council meeting. Today is September the 9th, 2024. Before we begin the council meeting, in 2 days it'll be 9/11. At times, the state starts to slip aside and become like a normal day, but please don't let that happen. At times we use this as honor the first responders, and we've now done that to May. But let's take a minute to think of our first responders, especially Jacob Durbin. Jacob was a police officer from Euclid who was killed in the line of duty. Fortunate for, I think, everybody, our drone team helped take care of the killer. So let's take a minute to think of Jacob and all the other people who've lost their lives. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Before the fiscal officer takes the roll, I'd like to welcome Jared Flynn, going in for our solicitor tonight. Jared's been here many times. Thank you for giving up your Monday night for South Russell.
No problem at all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Kaliki.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Stahl.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Canton.
All right. We have minutes from the August 12th regular council meeting. Any changes, corrections that need to be made on the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Porter, seconded by Canton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes passes. We have with us Mr. Howard, visitor. I think on the back of the agenda, it gives you the usual instructions on how to speak, but the floor is yours for the next 5 minutes. So please give us your name, address, one more time, and the floor is yours.
Howard, 201 Manor Brook Drive. I won't be long. Want me to come forward or should I stand back?
You're good right there,
That's fine.
if you're comfortable.
It's about time the South Russell Village accepts the POW MIA flag and fly it on the pole outside. They do in every other building in the area. Chagrin Falls, Berger Township. This is the same flag that's flying at the county office building. And there's no reason why it can't be outside. And I'm going to present it to South Russell Village tonight, and hopefully we will see it there by the 20th. That's POW MIA Day. It's third Friday of every September. We celebrate the men and women that served before us. And there's no reason why we can't here in South Russell Village recognize them the way we should. So with that, I'm going to present this flag to you. It's the same quality that's been in the office, the commissioner's office. And hopefully you'll be able to show it to everybody. And hopefully you'll put it up.
Thank you for the flag.
When are we going to know?
There will be a usual meeting of how we have specifications on the flags. That'll be at the next park meeting. It'll be at the next park committee meeting, which would be on September the 19th, 6:30.
Here.
Just
No, at the pavilion.
Oh, at the pavilion.
Where is it held?
At the
At
pavilion.
the park.
At the
Down
park.
the road?
Park.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's just before the day that it should be flown.
All right.
And hopefully it's the same quality flag that's been at the county office building all this time.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And the lady that owns the flag shop, she lives here at South Russell.
Really?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Catch you again someday, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, it's now time for the mayor's report. A couple of things before we get into the mayor's report. Tomorrow, if you get a chance, drive by the park around 6 o'clock. Cub Scouts are having an activity to recruit. And one of the things they're doing is they have rented a semi-truck which brings a climbing wall. And it was one of the things we've thought about to have included in our fall festival. Also, Thursday at 1:30 will be the annual walk through the park with the Western Reserve Land Conservancy. If you'd like to attend, be at the pavilion around 1:30. And also on Thursday, the Northeast Ohio City Councils Association is having their meeting at 5:30 on Thursday. We joined that last year. I don't think we participated much yet. So if you're interested, please, there is information available. Okay, as far as the mayor's report, I left it in my car. There is completed another Eagle Scout project. It was installed in the park over the weekend. So it's very nice, very high quality, and I'll find a way here to sneak out and go get it and show it to you. Other than that, I gave you some lengthy items with it highlighted, but the two big items are going to be when we get down to the safety committee talking about dispatch, and when we get down to the parks committee talking about the fall festival. So I'm not going to take any more time. Any questions of the mayor? Okay, fiscal officer, you're up.
I distributed my report to Mayor and Council. I don't know if there are any questions. I did want to know, I had to respond for the Jefferson County Township Association if they wanted to attend, the other two members want to attend.
I still
It's
don't.
October 9th.
What's the deadline? Probably the 30th we have to let you know? All right, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
And, everything else I have, I think will be covered by committees, if not, but all this fun.
I do have a question, actually. In your report, you noted something, the Budget Commission's note to us, you're concerned about a low balance of potentially next year.
Right.
I think they suggested 20% operating costs.
Right. So, in
How
the,
far are we from that?
well, I did give you, in my report, there was, every fund in the balance, where we are. They did warn us that, a few years ago, they said our balances were too high, and now we're kind of going the other way. So, we have to be careful with that. The finance committee did meet with the people who are going to do the reserve study, so we're hoping with that, we can get a more steady budget process going. General fund is at 8%, safety 6%, operating 21%, road and bridge. That was high because we're not collecting those monies. Part of that money, remember, and then special services, special funds is 6%, and capital 17%. So all three commission members did comment on our balances increasing. So hopefully with that reserve study, that will be helpful.
Very much.
Questions, Joe?
For starting there.
Danielle, it used to be our balances were too high.
Correct.
Now they're too low.
They're going that direction, but we're doing a lot, we're doing a lot, stormwater projects, and then I explained to them that next year we have the Salt Dome and Bellroad East. In the initial tax budget though, we're estimating the Salt Dome is gonna be around 800 and something, 7
something, yeah.
So we were able to put in 550, hoping our year-end cash balances will be enough to carry the difference. So we just have to watch. And I think that reserve study will be helpful once we kind of get a plan in place, and rather than doing things, knee-jerk reaction or just doing things on the whim, having a better plan going forward would be helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Questions of our fiscal officer? Please note there is one page in here that looks like this, and the well done comment came from all three of the budget commission members. Comment was designed for Danielle, so she did a very nice job. Okay, Finance Committee, you're up.
The Finance Committee is going to have a joint meeting on Thursday this week, which is the 12th.
Yes.
At 9 a.m. Two specific topics are the dispatch renewal and a new program for body cameras, et cetera, which is going to increase costs. So there'll be a special meeting for that. And then I assume afterwards at 10 a.m. or shortly thereafter, we will have a regular finance committee meeting to discuss getting ready for the budget.
You're gonna do the combined finance safety meeting here?
Here at
Okay.
9 a.m. And
Okay, questions of the finance committee?
No, but are you gonna talk about the body camera thing in your report?
No, that's gonna be for the committee meeting.
Okay.
All right,
yeah, 9 a.m.
so listen, Jared, anything to report?
I have nothing to report.
All right, thank you for being here again. Derek, floor is yours.
We have wrapped up successfully this year's road program of specialized construction. I just prepared a final change order to adjust the contract down from the $316,075 contract award price to $298,743.43 for a net surplus or net underage of $17,300 and change, which we were fortunate enough to have an older quote for applying reclamite to some of the previously done streets from prior road programs that came in at $15,000.
14,408 and 75
Oh,
also.
my Lord.
So we were able to get a hold of the vendor and verify that quote was still valid. They said yes. We're able to get that extra work done within the awarded contract value of the road program. It's a separate purchase order, but the dollar amount and the expenditure will be within the awarded contract amount, which is always our goal. So Specialized did a great job, and we came in under and had enough left over to do something extra that we could really get some value out of. So I consider that a win on both counts. The only other thing I've got to mention is we've got a bid opening this Friday at noon for the Bell Road East culvert replacement project. We've got 4 plan holders that are all viable plan holders, 2 of which we've worked with before and we've had good success with them and have a good relationship with. 2 of the plan holders are Mr. Excavator and Great Line Construction, who did the culverts for us last time we did a bundled culvert project. So I was happy to see 2 familiar faces on the plan holders list. Look forward to getting some good bids for that as well. We'll find out on Friday. And I think that's all I have. Are there any questions?
This is more for Danielle. Do we need a motion to,
Just read the change order.
for the change order and then to apply the funds to the Reclamite
Yeah.
PO? You want to make that, Chris?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to accept the change order of, what was the total? 15,
The savings for the change order was $17,331.57.
okay, with a PO, correct, for Pavement Technologies to apply reclamite to Garden Park, Fairview, Ridgecrest, and Louise Drive for $14,408.75.
Second.
Discussion. Jim, I don't know if you're aware, we have what we call a little test patch on one of the roads in Lake Louise. So when they come to do the reclamite, we have always kind of let that patch go. We wanted to see compared one lane with reclamite, one lane without. So, the guys can probably talk to you about it, but we just don't want to let reclamite come in and go right over.
Right, we want to maintain that test patch so we can see some
Okay.
long-term longevity of the project. It was real apparent for the first year and a half which section of that road got reclamite and which section didn't. We're just out of curiosity now more than anything else. Let's see how long that benefit persists.
A couple of the runners claim they can, of course, they know it's there. And say you can actually, it's drier in that spot when they're running. Maybe it's Could be, they're thinking psychologically.
I don't know, there's some credence to that, because the whole point of the reclamite is to prevent surface water, rainwater, from penetrating down and saturating the asphalt, where it will eventually evaporate out and dry. If we put a seal down, which is essentially what the reclamite is, it prevents that water from seeping down in and just saturating that asphalt layer. So it evaporates off, runs off, dries faster. I would tend to believe that that's
Could be the
true phenomenon that they're
So-
observing.
If I drive in off Louise Drive, and do I bear left? That's Garden Park, isn't it?
That's Garden Park. It's just north of, it's not on Louise Drive, it's on Ridgecrest.
Oh, it's on Ridgecrest.
Yeah, and it's just north of Garden Park.
Okay,
You should be able to see the difference still.
okay.
After a rain, and especially during the first part of a snow event, it's noticeable. Just in a dry, sunny day, you'd never notice that anything was different about it. But the water tends to beat up maybe a little bit faster and evaporate and get spread around and just dissipate faster on that section. And in a snow event, for whatever reason, the snow seems to melt faster on the reclamited section. That was something we've observed when the previous Tim was here. His guys always kind of commented on that. It was weird and unexpected, but they liked it. So.
Questions of our engineer?
Well, we have a motion on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're
Sorry.
still on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion
There, I
passes.
do have a question of the engineer though.
Yes, go ahead.
Really fast.
Yeah.
Since you were gone last week, and so in our streets meeting, the mayor noted there's been some notice of new cracks in the back of the salt dome, different from the old ones.
Mhm.
As I look at it all summer, I wonder, I don't know, is it overfilled? It looks like a lot more is in there than should be.
Maybe, it may be stuffed to the gills and a little beyond our capacity.
I imagine that's not helping us.
No, it's not, and I talked to the mayor as an aside right before the meeting, and I'm gonna go take a look at that, and if it's concerning, I'm gonna get someone who's a little bit more structurally oriented than myself to take a look. But I'll give you a semi-professional opinion, and if it's, like I said, if there's anything concerning or anything that's like, I don't know, I'll bring someone in to
Okay,
give you a
that's where
a
there's
certified.
too much salt in there, it's gonna continue to put too much pressure on there.
We, when the streets committee, or the streets department crews did a bunch of temporary backfilling and shoring of that building, prior to loading it up, it helped a lot to stabilize it. I haven't looked at it since then, so I'll take a look and let you know. But thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Speaking of the salt shed, you authorized, to go out for bid, prepare the specs, go out for bid,
Yes.
and could you comment on that?
Sure. Just Friday, when I was out and about in upstate New York, I got a text from Nora, from our architecture division, that she would like to put together. She's about 85% complete. And before she, finishes it off, she wants to have a little bit of a sit down to make sure that she's covered all the bases and everything is as it should be. And her question was, hey, I'd like to have this meeting, I want to set it up, should I include Tim on it? She was referring to the previous Tim. And I said, yes, but with one change, it's just a different Tim, same email address, but yeah, please go ahead and schedule that meeting. So I would say in the next day or so, we'll be getting something from Nora for a sit down. She's out of our Cleveland office, so she may want to come here, or she may want to Zoom. If that's the case, I'll come here and we'll be together and just Zoom in with her if it's in fact a Zoom meeting. But yeah, there's a one last progress meeting, as it is, to kind of finalize those specifications before she's got it wrapped up and ready for us to go out to get quotes from design build firms.
When do you think we might be getting quotes from design build firms?
I would say I would give her a week or two to finish. If she's got 85%, certainly it can't take much longer. She's pretty expeditious when she gets her mind set to something. I would say within a couple of weeks, we will be ready to start advertising, I don't know exactly what that process is gonna look like. We could either solicit quotes, or we could go out to publish it and go out to bid, with the understanding that it is we're looking for design build firms, which is real good in a way, because as the mayor has pointed out a couple times, there's a couple of salt dome specialists, contractors that's just what they do, and they kind of have packages like a prefab almost package, ready to go. All they have to do is figure out what kind of foundation and bearing capacity our soil has here to design a foundation for it, and then they're off and running. It's important, it's doubly important for us to have that specifications package nailed down so that we get apples to apples quotes on things and comparisons from these design build outfits. There were some things that we definitely want, and there are some things that, hey, if you want to, give us more, that's fine. But here's our bare minimum, and it's a pretty robust specification. So I think that's going to help us quite a bit.
You thinking October?
I'm thinking, if the village is looking, the timeline is really yours. Once we say, here's the specifications, the timeline starts counting forward with you. If you wanna start shopping that around in October and advertise it in October, that's fine.
It could be built in the winter, couldn't it?
It could be.
It's a salt.
It all depends.
It depends. It depends on what the winning design build contractor is comfortable doing, what they're prepared to do. And I'm never a huge fan of, it's so weather dependent in the winter. I'm never a huge fan of pouring concrete, replacing concrete. When the temperatures are hovering at or below freezing because of the additives you have to add to the concrete, it makes me a little nervous about shortening the life expectancy of that product and the overall quality of it. So I can't say, oh yeah, for sure, well, we can build it in the winter. Maybe, but I wouldn't hang your hat on that.
The reason I bring it up is we've had really mild winters the last 5-10 years.
We have, and if we can get into, November and December with, 50-degree temperatures, 40-degree temperatures, there's nothing wrong with that, and I have no objections.
And the other thing I wanted to ask about was the OPWC grant for the Fairview.
Funny you should ask. I haven't heard anything on it, and today reached out to Shane at Geauga County Engineer's office to say, we submitted a pre-application. Other folks in my office are busy with final applications based on the rating criteria or the feedback that you typically get from the pre-application. If you scored high enough, they want you to polish that up and submit a final application. I haven't heard one way or another, so I called his office to say, should I be doing this right now or not? Please let me know how our pre-app scored. And that was, 11 a.m. And I haven't heard anything today, so.
Shane was out of the office last week, I know,
I know he was,
so maybe.
but I was hoping he'd be back this week, and the secretary or the front desk attendant seemed to think he was around. So I left a message with her to please pass along to him that I need to know. So I will share that information as soon as I get it.
When do you think we'll hear?
I was hoping today.
Any other questions over engineer? Before we go to the street commissioner, I misspoke, and I don't recall. On we have a policy on flags. Was that with the streets department? Mark, do you recall? Was it the street committee handled that?
We actually have an ordinance, as I recall, that council votes on what to fly at the corners. I don't know that it also talks about the park or anywhere else. I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't. It specifically was respect to what the principal flags are going to be on the four corners there. This is a matter, in my opinion, of whether council and the mayor want to go forward with displaying an additional flag as other communities do. There's nothing that precludes it in the flag code, so it's
really the preferences of the village.
We have 4 flagpoles. Two at the park, the one out front here, and the one in the corner, right?
Cemetery.
So 5.
2 cemeteries, we got police station.
Now, the pole here does fly the POW.
It does, the cemetery one, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it occurs to me that maybe if council is willing, that the next Parks Committee meeting could also involve flag raising.
Okay,
Since you're right there with the large flagpole. I don't know that we need a motion for that, do we?
Well, Mr. Howard, where does he want to see
I
this
think
flag?
principally he's talking about it being displayed at the village hall
Well,
here.
does he
that's
already,
what he
we
said.
already have one, right?
No,
I thought we did.
not here at the
Cemetery.
village hall. That's-
We never had one?
It's at the new cemetery.
The cemetery.
We've historically just displayed the Ohio and national flag.
Okay.
I think our concern was this is not an official American flag, so what about the next group that comes and says,
I believe, Mayor, that there may be official recognition of the POW MIA flag.
there is?
And it goes back 50 years plus during the Vietnam War. So
I personally think it's cooperative.
Why don't we do this? Let's get the information. Let's take it off the agenda for the park meeting. I think that's unfair to dump it on you, especially, I won't be there to have this discussion when we got the fall festival coming in. I will call Mr. Howard and tell him we're going to delay. And then in the meantime, let's gather, if we have an ordinance, let's get the information so that we can talk intelligently about it.
you know, the one thing that we may want to offer Mr. Howard is that, you know, on the given, he's concerned about the POW day.
On the 20th.
And potentially what we could do is display that flag on POW day at the village right here. You know, so I think that might satisfy him as we try to figure out the path forward. But I think as a concession, that might help.
I agree with that.
You might ask him, would he prefer it at Village Hall or at the park?
He said Village Hall, yeah.
And the other municipalities that display are primarily displaying in that new village hall.
Understood, but I think the park gets a lot more drive-by traffic.
This is the seat of government.
All right, I will contact him.
Mayor, I can talk to Brady too, and we'll
Okay.
review it.
We'll get the information. Again, I don't want to expose us to, here's my flag, I want it flown. Here's my flag, you know.
I think Dennis is right. I think it's an official flag, and if you think about the Vietnam War, et cetera, you know, plus we have Wade Gross, whose
Okay.
remains
Yeah,
have never
We want to be
been found.
careful, yeah.
But- And, you know, to, you know, just an additional comment, you know, there are some flags that are official, the POW flag being among them. You get into the unofficial flags like the blue line flag
The blue
and the red
police
line flag, and those are not necessarily officially sanctioned flags. And some people would argue there's a desecration of the flag. And, you know, last time Mr. Howard appeared before us years ago, he was trying to get the blue line flag displayed at the police department. And we basically rejected that proposal. But I think when we talk about the POW MIA flag, it's a little bit different. So,
Okay, I'll contact him.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
If- Just quickly, I looked under ORC section 9.50, I think this is right. Talks about display of the POW MIA flag during normal business hours at public buildings. And that it is recognized by the state of Ohio as an official flag and provides for how it should be flown and where, et cetera. So, I think that tells us that
That was ORC.
ORC is.
We have ordinance 2016-36, where we address POW MIA flag shall be flown in addition to the foregoing flags during the Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, and Veteran Day holiday periods.
Yeah,
That's
done
South
that,
Brussels.
We have done
That's a
that,
flag ordinance.
but that ordinance specifically addresses the display of the American flags and service flags that we put up for the holidays.
Okay,
This is a different, I think, unique situation.
we'll gather the information as quickly as we can. Street Commissioner, you're up.
I have nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Street Committee. Street Committee, you're up.
Street Committee?
Yes.
All right, I'll bring on the same topic we were just talking about. Next council meeting is the 23rd. The day he wants to fly that POW flag is the 20th. So might I suggest a motion to fly on POW with the holiday he spoke of for that one day until we figure out an ordinance for full time
At Village Hall,
at Village Hall?
I think that's a great motion.
As a veteran, would you like to make that motion?
Sure. I move that the village display the MIA TOW flag per the revised code provision cited by Councilman Berger on the occasion of POW Day, September 20th, at Village Hall on the, I guess I'll call it the main flagpole below the American flag. And so moved.
It'd actually be below the state flag.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved. Yes.
The
So on the single flagpole, yeah.
National flag, Ohio flag, then POW flag.
Second,
As amended.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Do you have a flag for that, Tim?
I believe we do.
Yeah, we do.
We give that
More than one?
I think we do. I think we have a few.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, flag goes up on September the 20th.
Thank you, that'll satisfy his request, and then we can look further into the ordinance, changing the ordinance. if necessary.
Okay, Street Commissioner had nothing, so we're at the Street Committee.
I did have a couple of things there about, did we want to talk about the Cintas PO and the ordinance we passed for that contract?
Right, we talked about, I guess, we passed, our ordinance was $6,000, the paperwork came in at $8,000, if I'm correct. The recommendation of the committee is to rescind the previous ordinance. We talked about also taking a look, closer look at what we do and actually, what we actually need and don't need in that contract.
I agree with that. The increase in cost from like 2019 was like $3,000. And then 2 years later, it's like $8,000. And I don't recall why there was such a dramatic increase.
By administration.
But they're not paying for it. So what I'm getting at is we can certainly repeal the ordinance. But we should, at least for this year, be funding uniforms and everything else until we figure out what we really need.
I think the only issue that's a 5-year contract that they gave us, so we'd have to get a new contract.
When I called Cintas and said that, the council was going to, consider their options, that contract that was signed was already submitted to Cintas, so they, said per their records, that's our current contract, it's a 5-year contract. They don't have our old contract, so they're expecting us to complete this 5-year term.
Is there an issue with who entered into the contract and whether it was legally entering into the contract? Because I believe the contract was entered into by the department head and not the mayor and fiscal officer.
True, but we ratified the street commissioner's action.
And I explained that when you ratified, you gave a dollar amount,
We did.
and the dollar amount would not cover the expenses, so either way, the issue would have to be addressed.
The other thing that I would like either the committee or the fiscal officer to look into is in previous places where I've worked that we've had Cintas contracts for uniform personnel, laundry services were part of that contract. It came to my attention this past week or so that our individuals in the street department basically wash their own clothes. And if that's a provision of a contract, we ought to hold Cintas to that. And that would probably provide a little bit more professional appearance to the guys and not have them rely on doing the laundry themselves, especially if they're in circumstances where the uniforms or clothes get trashed.
One more point. Do they mend the work clothes? Does the company mend the work clothes?
You know, it all depends on the provisions of the
Yeah.
contract there, because Jerry, you know, if uniforms became unserviceable under previous contracts that we had, and Swagelok was a great example because all hands were uniformed there, but you would either get a replacement and or a repair. So even with, you know, say for instance, they lost a button, you'd put them in a bin. The next time the shirt came back from the laundry, they'd have the repairs. So I don't know if Cintas is fully satisfying what the contract stipulates for the services that they're already providing, or whether that was a decision somewhere in the past where somebody said, we'll do our own. But then that means we're paying for services that we're not receiving. So
My experience in industry, when I wore those types of clothes in industry, is that the company washed the clothes and they mend the clothes, and people there, when they see that the clothes have just about run out of life, they would just send new uniforms in.
And from time to time, you'd have a company rep, like a Cintas rep, that came by, said, hey, how's everything? You know, anybody need replacements, et cetera. So, you know, there is that give and take. Now, you know, what we've negotiated down from, I'm not aware.
So we, I guess a couple of things here. One, are we on the hook regardless?
According to Cintas, they told me when we submitted, when he brought me that contract in the spring, he said he had 36 weeks left. He wanted the contract signed early because then he would get his bonus and it would start. So according to them, when we submitted that contract, it's the rest of that old contract ended and the new contract term started, and it's for 5 years.
So do we have enough allocated to pay for uniforms this year? It doesn't sound like we do.
We have enough for this year, I believe, for our contract that we had. I don't think the prices increased that much.
I thought we were spending like $8,000 a year on uniforms.
Yeah, but I think when council met last time, we didn't have a dollar amount, so that we just put in 6,000. But there are changes, because I don't know if the new street commissioner didn't use uniforms, so that would affect our costs.
And there were other things too, like the mats.
So Centess gives us our mats, and then we maintain the mats through our department, I believe up here. You guys, the police department does their own mats, so we don't have any use, you there.
Why don't we do this? Go ahead.
I was gonna suggest that the street commissioner get into it with the street committee, come up with an answer as to what they want to do, and if we need to amend that contract, that then we get the solicitor involved if we need to, and we explain to Cintas, it's a new day and new rules.
Why don't we do, okay, so we'll have the street commissioner, the street committee look into this, see the changes. This is probably a good time to make changes.
Come back.
Because he's already talked about why we get new mats every 2 weeks, so they're not dirty. Second, then, maybe then have the solicitor, if we get to that point, to see if we do have a valid contract before we get that expense in. So is there anything we have to do tonight on the Cintas contract?
I don't think we're in a position to do anything
No.
about it.
So, just so I'm clear, we're paying $6,000 a year?
No,
About 8,700 a year.
We're being billed $8,700, we authorized $6,000.
Well, we paid,
So
you guys authorized 6,000 on the legislation because we didn't have a dollar amount.
When did the last Cintas contract expire? When was it supposed to expire?
When he brought it to me in the spring, he said it had 36 weeks left.
Okay, and that was for a lower amount of 6,000.
No, the dollar amount, council didn't know how much the contract amount was gonna be, so in not knowing, they thought 6,000 would cover it because we didn't have a dollar. But
but
New contract though?
the old contract probably would not expire until December
Yeah,
24.
end of the year.
Okay, so, and you mentioned ratification, and just want to make sure if we're doing something, we're not further ratifying, or maybe we haven't ratified, because the original contract may still be continuing if it was unauthorized. So what was the difference between payment under the original and payment under the new contract? Or do we not know yet?
The costs were basically the same. We noted that there was a couple uniforms missing from it, but that wasn't, when the contract was signed, none of those were addressed.
I would recommend, at least in the interim, until we get an answer, continue to pay under the old contract, that amount, even if it's changed $50 or whatever it may be. Just keep
Okay.
that.
So the street committee,
We'll tackle it.
street commissioner and street committee will look into this.
Absolutely.
We'll continue the payment. We'll also look if we have a valid new 5-year contract.
Or a valid way out.
Valid way out, yeah.
Tim, you made some good suggestions at our meeting, so maybe just look a little further into it before we meet. Yeah, they can kind of get your thoughts together, because we'll have to lean on you quite a bit. Streets Committee, second part, let's see here. The new street commissioner had asked us at our last meeting if it was possible for the village to consider 1 or 2 20-foot storage containers to store equipment in seasonally. I think the plan was to put them behind the current salt structure now, 1 or 2 of them, if we painted to be more blended in with the nature back there as well. The idea is to put the mowers there in the wintertime, whatever else in the summer, just free up some more space in the garage that's full of stuff. He's also been having people take their personal items home, so there's more room in our facilities as well. But there's still not enough space for everything. So the list price, I believe, for each container is about $1,800.
Thereabouts.
But you're confident they could potentially go a little lower.
That's the high end of everything, yes.
So the initial question for council would be, would we even entertain such containers on our property? That's the start of the conversation.
Is it like those pods, like a train car with a window, or what is
Right.
So it's just a shipping container, a sea crate.
it? Okay.
So it's Connex box.
Yes, exactly. And small enough, 20 feet in length, because they're small enough that we can move with the equipment we have when we need to, if we need to. And yet, I found that if we go to a 40-foot, which are available, things get lost in them in the front. So if we say the shorter, we can get to everything easily, and it just flows a little better.
So we're talking about purchasing a couple, not renting.
Correct.
Yes.
So we look at this as a long-term solution.
Well, okay, and that leads to the question with the new salt dome. We talked about putting wings on the salt dome. If that in fact becomes reality in the next year, then what do we do with the 20-foot containers?
So I was under the assumption that the overhangs on the new salt dome are
18 feet, I think.
18. I was under the impression they were 20.
I think they were 18, but I could be wrong.
So if they're 20, we just put them under the salt, underneath the overhangs.
Because you could use those Connex boxes to secure if
To
it's just an
secure
overhang.
some items so that,
Correct.
okay,
Correct.
because those wings are going to be open
Open air.
on the sides. Okay,
Open on all 3 sides,
okay.
all the way around.
And as a practical matter, if we don't need them anymore, they can be sold.
They hold their value.
Yes.
Mhm.
So
So it would be temporary, maybe temporary, maybe.
it's a solution to a problem that we've had for a while, and seems to me they'd be mostly out of the way and mostly out of sight.
Yes.
And they're movable with the,
Yes.
what we have now. So if they need to be moved from one location to another, it can. I understand that, they can be had for about $1,300.
Thereabouts. Yep.
And so it would be about a $2,700 expenditure for the extra storage.
Correct.
And if we actually do get the salt house built before the end of the year, then they can be sold and disposed of.
Correct.
Depending on what's being stored outside.
Continue to be used.
So we're looking to have, at the next council meeting, you would come here with a proposal to purchase 2 20-foot shipping containers.
Okay.
So a quote
Good with that.
or 2 or 3 would be useful.
A few quotes, please.
You good?
Oh, just have one more thing.
No, I mean, you're good on that.
Oh, yes.
Tim, do you know if they're new or are they used that have like
So
other painting of, you know, like
you can
maritime
get,
shipping or
you
whatever?
can get various grades of them. So you can get new that have never been used, and then one trip, that as they define it, and then multiples. I would go with the middle of the road. Yes, they could potentially have something painted on the side, which we would paint over. Just I would say green or something of that nature, just a nude color, just to kind of lose them into the backdrop.
They have these out at Chalkers auction, not that I know that from personal experience.
It's gonna be in your backyard, won't they?
You saw it on the internet, put my dollar in.
Okay, so at the next council meeting, hopefully we'll have some bids or some quotes.
Yes.
All right,
Thanks, Tim.
you're still up.
And then our one last thing, we discussed in our committee meeting, we'd like to set up a time, we can do that in this meeting with the HR committee, to potentially discuss either a job description for a foreman position or maybe a pay differential for a foreman that can be assigned by the street commissioner in his absence for someone who would be in charge of the team and the daily work and oversight while he is gone.
We have brought that up and that we're fine with that. We're meeting on Friday?
Friday at 10.
Well,
Yeah,
the only thing that was new to us, I think, was Tim's idea of a pay differential instead of an actual title. Because
Yeah.
he can assign whoever, because if you assign one person, that person's off too.
well,
Will you get paid for the extra
we
work
need to
you're
come to a
doing
decision on how,
for those hours?
I just felt that,
I do have a question about pay differentials.
Sure.
Does that mean that when the lieutenant stands in for the chief of police, there should be a pay differential? When administrative assistant stands in for the building department secretary, who is at a higher rate of compensation, should there be a pay differential? So I would hope that as you have this discussion, you go beyond just the building department. Because when one applies to one, it needs to apply across the board.
I guess the definition would be what are the decision-making responsibilities and effect they would have on the village when that person is in that role. I don't know if they're all apples to apples. I don't know. I can't answer that tonight. I would imagine the lieutenant would be, yes, would be very important. And the decisions would have an effect on the village overall that particular day immediately. The other roles, I don't know.
There is a
Maybe not.
difference.
Yeah, we-
Chief and the lieutenant are salary.
Okay.
You're talking about one of the guys in the street department who's hourly, taking on additional duties performed by a salaried employee. But the same logic would hold true for the administrative department, I think. If someone was filling your job, Danielle, while you were off on vacation or whatever. So those two departments certainly would be involved with this.
The only other thing is, that comes to my mind is industry. And, the VP of operations leaves, generally one of the individuals that, stands in for him, stands in, but before the VP of ops left, he basically gave the guy instructions saying, hey, this is what I want you to accomplish in my absence. So, again, industry doesn't necessarily follow that model. I think this would be unique, but it's great for discussion.
you know how much you get for being a charge nurse instead of just a regular nurse? Nothing. That's all it is.
I think it would fall in the job description as well.
Well, if HR is meeting this Friday at
10,
10, is that convenient for you, Chris?
no.
Yes,
But Chris Bell will be
And
at
then
work,
Chris-
right?
Chris Bell.
The 13th,
Yes.
Yeah, Friday the
10
13th.
a.m. I can't do 10
Well, do I have to get up earlier?
Let's come up with a day and time where
We'll figure it out.
four of us can get together without
Okay.
stressing anyone.
a.m. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the suggestion and the insight, Dennis.
Chris, before you wrap up your streets committee report, when's our next streets committee meeting?
Sure thing. That's great. It's the last time. So, the next streets committee meeting will be Thursday, October the 3rd, at 7:30 a.m. in the street commissioner's office. That's all I have pending anything from Councilman Porter.
If you're not doing anything there.
Tell me that again, the 3rd, October 3rd, at what time?
7:30 a.m. I'm surprised you asked.
I'm trying to be amenable here.
It raises the possibility of a joint HR streets meeting that same day.
7:30.
Well, no,
It would be after.
more like 9.
Oh, that's more like it. Okay,
Possibility.
I mean, I'll just throw that out there now, and then we can figure out if everybody can make it. Okay.
but just as a question, don't you have to leave for work earlier than that?
Spend time with you. I will stick with you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Gosh, you didn't say that to us, Chris.
She's nicer than me.
Well,
Anything else from the street committee?
that's it.
Tim Young, just to let you know, that's one of the longest street committee reports we've ever had. So that's not normally like this. All right, Chris Bell, building committee.
Hey, building committee, we will be meeting this Thursday, September the 12th at 8 a.m. in the building department. Anything, Councilman Cannon?
I have nothing to add.
Other than that, that's our report for tonight.
Okay, Ruth will provide a list of items. So she will not leave it. Okay, building, that was the quickest ever. Chief, you're up.
Thank you. I submitted a month-end report. If anybody has any questions, I can entertain them. I received an architectural drawing for the proposed garage. Dave Hosevar took a look at it, and we're gonna send it back. Dave wants to increase the thickness of the concrete slab from a 4-inch minimum to a 6-inch minimum due to the weight of the truck. And he's also sending it back to the architect to add lights and electrical that were left out of the original drawings. That's all I have on that. Any other questions?
Questions of the chief?
I hope it gets done before snow.
Okay, no questions of the chief?
Won't happen.
Two things.
There's two.
Directly, or indirectly affects the chief. Chief attended a meeting this week with what we're calling the bike committee. They are not, the Chagrin Valley Times reported them as an ad hoc committee. It's something to think about. At the meeting we had last Friday, they have already looked into the fact that we do not need to be an ad hoc committee under the control of the mayor. So that's very possible. We have a meeting with them, I think it's on the 27th. I will explain to them that, if you're going to be an ad hoc committee under control of us, websites, newsletters, use of Village Hall comes with that. I think this group probably wants to be a little more independent, so they may go off and become basically the old Safe Routes to School committee that Chagrin had. So the paper did say they were an ad hoc committee. They're not yet. My comment to them is that I was going to look 3 or 4 months to see how the committee worked, whether we wanted to do this. It's basically the same procedure we did with the park committee. We brought some people on, saw how it worked, and eventually created an ad hoc park committee. I don't know that this will happen with this bike and the safe routes or whatever they're going to become.
So if they become ad hoc, they have to follow all the sunshine rules and all that.
Well, the park committee, we bought the park in 2006, 2007. Park committee was a committee formed through applications in April 2008. And we did do some research. The bike committee, there's been bike committees, we can't tell if they were ad hoc committees, in 73, 92, we put a levy on the ballot to see if the community it failed. And then again in 2008, it was going. And in 1992, they estimated doing that sidewalk by a cap at 1.2 million. And that was in 92.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think prices have gone down.
No, as a matter of fact, I took a look at, on the web, and $100 in 1992 is $255 today. So it'd be 2.5, rough order of magnitude difference.
I wasn't on that 1992 committee, but I attended the public meetings with that. and something big happened. We had just put in the turning lanes. And so you increased the crossing by what, another third on each roadway. And this was the death knell. They wanted to crisscross, and so you'd have traffic waiting. Imagine 5 PM, and you got traffic waiting, and Ruth's bringing her bike across the intersection. So that was one of the reasons, that was one of the biggest reasons it failed.
These people are very impressive, very well organized, very thought out. I could see them being a very good service. I could see them being equal to the park committee. I think we have a wonderful thing with the park committee. I think the bike committee could be wonderful also. You know, we've had 2 meetings. We'll see how things pan out. Chief, I know there is a walk to school. It's one of the things that's organized. I don't even know, is it the PTO or who's running this walk to school?
It's National Walk to School Day.
Okay.
And historically, we've assisted Sugar Lakes community with a small group of kids walking across the street, so from Maple Springs to Gurney School. And we've done that the last few years without any incident. So what they would like to do is piggyback onto Chagrin Lakes event, and Chagrin Lakes Homeowners Association has agreed to allow them to do that. So we may have a little bit of a bigger group, but their original intent was to walk from the park all the way to Gurney School on Bell Road, and I just flat out said, absolutely not. There's no way we can risk putting, K through 3rd graders out there on Bell Road for that period of time, that time of morning. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna meet at Chagrin Lakes Park, and we will basically walk across the street. So we may have Bell Road shut down for a matter of a couple of minutes. So I have no issues with that.
Did have one question about the 1992 thing that you just talked about. We didn't have a park then. Do you know how long the area that they were looking at putting in a bike path was from where to where?
I don't have the full thing, we were just looking through it for a few minutes today, but at the top of one of the pages, somebody wrote 3.1 miles, so it wouldn't be the full length of the village, and I don't know what section they were looking at.
8.1 miles would be from here to the popcorn shop.
Well, that's from the Chagrin line
Chagrin line,
to Newberry
Mhm.
line.
No, the village is about 4 miles.
it's four something, yeah. So I'm thinking that's from the Chagrin line to 306, because nothing,
That's only 2.
is
So
it?
you're talking maybe to Lake Louise?
Popcorn
I don't
shop,
Yeah,
popcorn shop at my
yeah.
house is 3.2 miles.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So the biggest problem, and we even talked about an arch bridge, you weren't here then. We talked about putting a bridge over the road. Imagine. I can't imagine.
Anyhow, not to take up a lot of time with the chief, I have high hopes for these people. And again, I'll repeat myself, very well organized, very thoughtful. I think they got a good idea. I think we can work with them. I'm having a meeting Friday afternoon with Ed May from NOACA to look at funding and look at different things. I think after that, we may know. One of the concerns that I've had, and I've talked to finance about this, when you look around, Richmond Heights got money for the salt dome, and Chesterland got money, and Sola got money for a park, and Chagrin got money for solar panels. A lot of people got a lot of money through politics or whatever. So I think there's some things that we can do, and I still think there's a lot of money out there. So anyhow, we'll do the walk to school, and should be fine. Anything else for the chief? Safety committee.
And thank you very much, Mayor. Safety will be meeting this Thursday morning, September 12th, at 9 a.m. here at the hall, along with finance. Yes?
That's anything.
Nothing yet. Thanks.
That's it.
All right, a question. In the spring, the Chagrin Valley Fire Department had a big article in the paper about what they're doing. They're adding personnel, instead of 4 people on duty, they're gonna have 5. Have we heard anything from them as far as cost for next year? Danielle, let me call.
Our contract goes through the end of 25.
Okay, so we got another year, we're set. We want to be ready. Okay, we are now at the HR committee.
HR committee. I see that we have on there, and the mayor and I discussed this, the motion to approve expenses of retirement luncheon for street commissioner Alder to be held 9/30/24. We already had set aside money. I believe, Mayor, it was for $400, and we needed to add to it because some other people, his family, et cetera.
We haven't. you
We haven't
guys
set
haven't
aside
approved
anything.
anything.
I can't, I'm sorry.
Nothing's been approved
Oh.
yet.
Okay, I thought we did last month. The mayor and I discussed, and I believe we came with not to exceed $700. So I'm going to make a motion to approve expenses for the retirement luncheon for street commissioner Alder to be held 9/30/24, not to exceed $700. So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Okay, well, the mayor provided a list, and the dollars on the list are $800.
Oh, did I get it wrong?
So food total was $360, disposables was $40. I'm sorry, event total of $400. So is $700 the real number?
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed. And
Mayor, did I have it correct? We discussed this.
apparently so, I misread the
Yeah,
sheet. So
The-
700.
the quote from the caterer was for $400.
Okay.
And my thought is you're gonna have drinks and a cake. You're probably gonna be $550. But if we have a big turnout, we could spend $700, but I doubt it.
Just not to exceed.
Do we have a venue and time in mind?
Venue will be the typical garages here. The tentative list of people would be all the members of council, all the people who are working that day, the park committee, because it's a day, it's kind of a thank you for the park committee who helped put on the fall festival. We're inviting the people who worked the fall festival. Last year, we had a few people from Chagrin Vet and Garden. And then Tim's got, I think, 8 to 10 people that he's had on the list. He said he'd like for them to come. So I think it'd be a total of, $700 is plenty. It'd be 11:30. We'll just clean out a couple garages and put up some tables like we always do.
Will the con boxes be in place?
We're constantly already.
Okay,
Have we done something like this for a department head before? I mean, with the
Yeah.
previous street commissioner?
we did.
Yeah.
we did.
Okay, so,
It was
okay, but we don't have a policy statement as to this is what we do for department heads, or this is,
No.
we don't have anything like that. Okay.
I thought the handbook talked about this in a roundabout way.
Well, like HR committee is working on a policy in terms of, like the village hall prints met for elected officials or board members, but we don't have anything for, employees. We have traditionally, if an employee has been with the village and retires from the village, we typically do a luncheon with elected officials, employees, and then the, retirees' immediate family. And we've done it at the park, at the pavilion. A couple of times we did it in the service garage. And,
Okay.
All right, it's been moved and seconded.
I
All
don't know,
those
but did we get a second? You
Yeah.
said.
I second.
Mark,
Okay.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
so this, just to be clear, so we know, this is going to be at, the service garage, and you'll give me a list of who from his family to invite or whatever.
Yes.
There's also gonna be coffee and donuts in the morning.
Coffee and
We're
donuts.
gonna eat a lot.
Yeah.
That day.
We're doing the same thing we
Wait,
did for Daryl.
we're doing donuts and coffee too, so that has to go in the newsletter? Is that for the entire village, or who's that for?
That'd be for anybody that wants to drop in.
And what time to what time?
Well, I think it's 7 to 10. It'd be, basically, we're doing the same thing we did for Daryl. We had donuts with Daryl from 7 to 10. We had a luncheon at 11:30.
And that's a Monday,
Monday,
Monday the 30th.
30th, yep.
11:30 at the street.
Yep.
Garage.
There'll be a formal invitation. We'll give
Formal invitation.
There'll be an invitation sent out, and then there's gonna be one that's gonna be hand-delivered to certain people. He's inviting some guys like from, Screen Falls, Russell Township, other people he's worked with. Matt Brett, somebody like that is gonna be invited.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, another motion there, Ruth.
Motion to approve additional funds for attendees of the OML conference not to exceed $1,100. And the breakdown is $344 for hotel, $500 for the conference, and roughly $205 for mileage. So moved. Danielle, that's 2 nights of hotel, $344? Yeah, 170.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Question. Can we go in one car? Would that save enough? It's gonna be what, 3 of us?
I was gonna go a day early and hit a couple old relatives.
Okay, all right. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Anything else for HR, Ruth?
Yes, let's see. We met on August 15th, Chris Berger and myself, and the minutes were submitted. I hope everybody read them. Berger will speak further with Jim Ludzik. He's already done that. Maybe he wants to cover that. I'm still a little fuzzy on this position analysis questions that we talked about. This is for our staff. Is that correct, Danielle? Just
Yeah.
and
Yeah, all employees fill them out. It's a position analysis form we fill out to explain what their duties are. And then you take them, what their current job descriptions are, and make sure everything's included that they did do and something's not missed. And then, we prepare new job descriptions.
And then we have to alter the handbook one more time.
No, well,
It's a living document.
Living document.
It's gonna get altered.
I just hear living
so
document.
Don't worry about it.
All right, well, I have to worry about everything. Okay, we covered that. Our next HR meeting will be this Friday, Friday the 13th at 10 a.m. Chris Berger, do you have anything else you want to
I
add
do
to
not.
HR? Okay.
Questions of the HR committee?
And we do know talking about the foreman, whatever, that's been talked about too much tonight. That's on the agenda.
Sometime HR committee, let's think about a summer employee. Somebody who could maybe take care of the park, do some mowing. I know our guys do a good job. I have a problem with guys making $40 an hour mowing. We've tried other things, contracts, they didn't work with landscapers. But then the last summer person we had was fantastic, so maybe there's somebody else out there, somebody. Just think about it. I hadn't told you yet, but anyhow, I think we need a summer helper, or to think about a summer helper.
Do you feel like you're being tested
The
tonight?
street commission and the street committee can weigh in on that as to what would be appropriate. They would be better
Suited.
able to answer that question than the HR committee.
We'll let Tim get his feet a little wet
Yeah,
first.
yeah, I understand.
So next week, is that good? You figure out?
Okay, Ruth, you're still up, property committee.
Property committee met on August 11th. I submitted my notes and I hope, again, everybody read them. We have 2 new park trash cans that have been ordered. The first Tim A, ordered and emailed the bathroom to the company and has not heard back, but there has been an email glitch the first week and we don't know if things are lost and have been answered. So we're going to pursue that, make sure that we know that the bathroom is effectively ordered and officially ordered. Let's see, the wetlands, I went and inspected the wetlands on Sunday, and I don't think they look all that rough. They look like wetlands. And we have signs there that say, these are fake trees, just for birds to perch on. I'm Mayor, I didn't think they looked that bad, did you? They don't look great, but they don't look terrible either.
She may be able to put in all the trees too.
I'm sorry, I'm talking
The
park.
new trees maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
before the fall festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked pretty, I don't know.
Is this called a wetland too?
No. Originally, we built a wetland, but it didn't hold enough water.
It was a
This is central
stream
retention.
restoration, it wasn't necessarily a wetland.
Okay.
I'm
It's
talking
not
about
Federal wetland.
if you pull into the park,
Okay, I
You're
just didn't know
looking-
whether it was
yeah, you're
the one
looking
here,
straight back.
the one by Manabrook, or.
And I just didn't want some little kid to run out of the playground, and, be nose level. No, I'm just being facetious there. So, yes, and the other big money subject that Danielle has been pursuing, maybe she has an answer tonight, to consolidate the parcels where the former Fairweather dentist house was. And Danielle, have you heard anything back?
I haven't heard anything. I did, send them, there was paperwork we had to complete, which you guys will ratify tonight, to keep the process moving forward because, they were never notified that the buildings were demolished. So I completed that paperwork, sent it to the county. The county sent it to me and then they sent it to the state. So they received it. That's the last I heard back from her.
Okay, so we hope we get that because it would save the village some money.
Mhm.
And the next property meeting will be Friday the 13th at 3:15. Any questions? Jerry, anything you want to add to that?
3:15 Friday here at the hall.
Yes.
Very good.
So I get to make at least 2 visits here on Friday.
Questions of the property committee? Rick, Parks Committee, Ruth?
Yes, we are. Park Committee met on August 22nd at 6:30 here because there was already something else scheduled down at the park. We're moving forward on the Fall Festival. There seems to be an insurance issue with covering, and we want all players to have their own liability insurance. This is still being discussed. Mayor, do you want to chime in on that one?
Yeah, got a call last week from Ted Cruz, he basically said, I don't want to be a part of the fall festival. He runs his apple cider thing, he says it's tent. He said, maybe you guys can get insurance and hire me. But Ted he was a downer. Got a call from the Haney Band, they do not have insurance, are not going to have insurance. They said it's our job to get the insurance, which I don't know.
You got Tom.
So it's contacted the county fair. They have trailers that they would haul people from their cars to the gates at the county fair. They have never let them be used anyplace else, but I said, let me know if you consider that. That could replace the hay rise. Frankly, if we don't have hay rides, we don't have a van,
We don't have a lot going on.
you still want to keep going.
Well, you still have the hot dogs, you still got the bouncy houses and all that good stuff.
It's,
Bouncy houses have to be insured.
Yes, they do, but I didn't hear that as being one of the ones that balked at the insurance.
Is the med flight helicopter gonna be there, Mayor?
They have not confirmed it yet, but, I applied probably a month ago. So they're coming.
But the difference, Dennis, one thing is that the bouncy houses get paid for bringing them there. And Ted has been kind enough to donate literally every part, including fuel, tractors, tractor use, hay wagons, cider, etc. And we appreciate everything he's done for many years. And that's where we are. So we're kind of at 6s and 7s over this, and it'll either work out or it won't.
I did look at the Mr. Limo, that's a contract's coming up.
Yeah,
If we were to cancel, we gotta give him 10 days notice. Park committee's meeting the 19th.
19th.
I can't imagine you cancel the fall festival.
Okay.
Quite frankly, I
We're
think,
what, 2 weeks away?
and I think that people will enjoy it for what it is, no matter what we have for entertainment. Whether the kids are just running around in the field and eating hot dogs and chips. I personally think that, it shouldn't be the success or failure determined on a hayride.
I don't know, they love seeing Chris Bell driving that
And
tractor.
they did get insurance, so just so you know, the village had to give the school proof of insurance in order to use Gurney parking lot. We did get, insurance today from the wine guy. The, limo is in, we're working on that one. The people with the bounce houses, face painting, they're in the process of getting us that. So it's just the band and Ted.
You got the ice cream guy.
Right, guys, from that, yeah.
Okay.
So that's where we are, that's what I say, a decision will be made.
So,
And then, did you say, Mary, that we do have lifeline in Sugar Falls Fire Department?
The fire department said.
Okay,
No, I haven't got a
The Lifelight.
confirmation from Lifelight.
because we're putting it in the newsletter.
Yeah, oh,
We
yeah.
just wanted-
They've been there every year.
And then can I ask too, Mayor, from your report, you said something that October 21st, there's a meeting to discuss the park property. Is that a park committee meeting?
Yeah, let's stay on the fall festival. I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a meeting the 19th to finalize the fall festival,
Yes, 19th at 6:30 at the pavilion.
okay?
So the worst case scenario, Mayor, is the village may wish to consider having some kind of insurance covering the hayride and the cider press and
The Haney Band.
the band.
Yeah, I would get away from the hayride. Solicitor advises every person who gets onto the hay wagon should sign a waiver form.
Okay, but logically then, everybody at the fall festival should sign a waiver, lest the life flight helicopter crash and kill us all.
I know.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
what would, as an alternative, if we posted a notice of liability as the people got off the bus at the park, if there was a sign there that said, hey, yeah, this is the fall festival, you enter at your own risk, there are events going on such as the hayride, et cetera, that could be a danger to you. I mean, the bottom line is, no matter what happens, if somebody gets hurt on the hayride, if they sign the document or not, they're still gonna sue. I mean, that's just the reality of the world. So why do we, instead of going through the process of signing waivers and all that stuff, we post a notice, that's the best we can do, and we get on with it, and people love the hayride, and they love the stuff that we do, and we should make it as big an event as we possibly can for the village.
Great, when I've done the hayride, there are always people on the ride who have not been to the south.
In the park, yeah.
They've only done like the playground or maybe, around, the pavilion. And some of them are surprised.
Mhm.
There's actually a South Park that's not on TV.
Did our insurance company bring up this, or the solicitor, how did this
Yeah,
topic
because
of,
we didn't have it before, I'm glad you brought that
all
up.
these insurance requirements come up in the first place?
Well, over time, times have changed. They're not like the old times when you can just do something, right? So there's more lawsuits, so, more and more places require the proof of insurance. Our insurance company had that thing they put out last fall about the hayrides and doing these kind of events, what to cover. When this whole thing came up last week, I did contact our, insurance company to find out what we can do. The mayor asked me to call and find out if the village could get insurance for Ted, our insurance would cover Ted. And they said our insurance won't cover Ted, Ted would have to apply for his own special event insurance. Not the village wanted to pay for it, I think that was up to them, but it would have to be, the insurance would be in Ted's name. So if you were considered doing for the Haney Band, you'd have to do that for the Haney Band. But the other people did provide their insurance, which, You may know.
All right, well, why don't we-
Ask the lawyer.
I don't wanna beat a dead horse here or a tractor, but Ted provides all this stuff through Chagrin Pet and Garden, which is a business. I'd be surprised if he didn't have a commercial general policy that covers all this stuff, no matter what they do, because he sends guys out to fix things and come back, and take things, deliver things and stuff like that. I'd be shocked if he didn't have a general liability insurance solicitor, am I wrong?
He may, it just depends, is this considered an amusement ride or something along those lines that would be excluded from, or not included in a general policy? I mean, ultimately, it's risk aversion, and insurance is usually your last, backstop. And I'm not, because I wasn't involved in these conversations before, and it sounds like there's been opinions, I'm not gonna, second guess one way or the other, but ultimately it comes down to risk, and council can make a decision as to what level of risk they can tolerate for the village and what they don't necessarily want to tolerate. I can tell you from experience, bounce houses have to be insured, and they almost always cover, but I had a bad experience, I had a client who had a bad experience with a bounce house that ultimately led into a death. Couldn't foresee it, but it just, that is something I would say for sure. I would also say your hay rides, to the extent they find a way to have that insured. Whether you need a waiver or not, that's up to you. I get it's a pain in the butt. I don't know if you sell tickets, if you put language on the back of the ticket, or if you give away tickets, language on the back. You're right though, you're going to get sued. Everyone's going to get sued if there's an injury, and that's why insurance is important. So make sure you're covered with insurance. I don't know band-wise if that's, I don't know that. I've never been with Ball Fest, so I'm sure that's needed, or you might feel it's needed. But the rides, and it's typical to have, and make sure you have insurance for rides and bouncy houses.
Well, then how about we do this? I'll talk to Ted tomorrow, ask him to get insurance for the tent and the cider. Now, I'm comfortable with those two. I'm not comfortable asking him to provide the hay wagons. Do we want to go with Ted for the hay wagons?
I do.
I do. I think Chris Berger's right. We put the event on and we do the right thing all the way around.
There was never any downtime, was there? People were waiting.
Oh, no.
To get on,
5 o'clock, they're still
Yeah.
in line. Okay, I'll talk to Ted tomorrow. Tent, cider, hay rides.
So.
And then what I suggest, then, we hire Ted. I think this is one of the things we want to be prepared. He was not interested, but I think if we said, you get the insurance, Ted, we're going to hire you. Give us a cost. That way, we hire Ted like any other vendor.
It may not be additional, like to Mark's point, he has business. I just called our village's insurance and said, we are doing this event, we need it, to show the proof,
Ask what insurance he has.
Yeah, and then the certificate of liability,
Okay.
they just filled it out and it didn't cost us anything.
All right, I'll check with Ted tomorrow.
Thank you, Mayor.
The band.
Mayor, can you expound on the hire him? We're looking at whether he has insurance. Okay, and if he's got the insurance that Mark spoke about, we should be good to go. He should be good to go. But what about this hiring now? What are we exactly hiring him for?
I think we dropped that, and the mayor's just gonna talk to Ted about getting insurance. I understand, but if we hire him as a vendor, typically for our vendors, they bring their own insurance.
And I understand that, Mayor's gonna talk to Ted about getting insurance, but I understand that Ted already balked at getting the insurance, didn't he, Mayor?
Yeah, he wasn't crazy, but he was in a bad mood.
I do know that other organizations that I've belonged to We had spaghetti dinners at Family Life Center. We had to take out a day insurance for that. We had dances at Village Hall in Chagrin Falls. We had to take out insurance for that. So I know that there are requirements, but I don't know if we can.
What are those policies, just?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, it's a one-day thing and, you know, it
Is
doesn't
it
cost
hundreds or
much.
is it?
You know, but I just don't know if we hire him, is that take away the requirement to have insurance? If he hired, would he fall under our insurance? I don't know if we're just muddying the waters here. I don't know.
I think that muddies the waters.
Your vendors generally have to provide their own
Yeah.
certificate of liability insurance.
So, okay.
Regardless of the pay.
I mean, see where he is on, you know, providing stuff he normally does, and we'll go from there.
Well, I guess I wanted you prepared for the fact that if I gotta go out and get extra insurance, I want the village to compensate me. He hasn't said anything like that. He was just like, I don't think I really want to get involved this year.
Okay, well, we'll let you have that conversation.
Okay?
Can we agree that there's no reason for the band to have liability insurance?
That was a question I had. I don't think
I
so.
mean,
We're not talking the stones at Altamont. We're not talking about security by the Hells Angels.
Yeah, but I love that hand band, and they gotta bring those cello and a bass in there.
Well, that would be a question for the solicitor. I
I can imagine the band needs insurance.
Well, they firmly said, we're not doing it, we're not getting insurance, but I want to.
I think that's a minimal risk.
Yes, they stay in one spot.
Well, I mean, that they're gonna injure somebody else, I mean,
Somebody starts dancing.
if the base falls on somebody, I mean, that's a minimal risk.
Okay. You're gonna have a good report for our solicitor, aren't you? Yeah. It's a really high-level legal, okay, we'll look into
Just
this.
make an agree, like, if you agree with that for the band, can you make an official agreement so we can let him know, because
Let who know?
the Haney band.
All right, I move that the Haney Band not be required to show insurance for the purposes of the Fall Festival 2024. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion
Mr.
passes.
Mayor, the chief had something.
Yeah, just for reference, we did $1 million liability insurance policy for the car show when it was here on the campus, and it was $333 for that, for one day. So just to give you some reference.
And these guys aren't a municipality.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's separate, yeah.
We have statutory defense in state lawsuit.
all right,
Whether they work or not,
I'll let you know what I hear from them and CVD as soon as it's gonna be a busy Tuesday. Anything else
No,
on the products?
I'm done. The next part.
Public utilities, I'm sorry.
No, I think I announced it, September 19th, obviously, at 6:30 PM at the pavilion. I'm done.
Thank you. Public utilities, there's an error in the published schedule which suggests that we're going to meet on a Sunday, and we will not. We would like to meet on Friday, September 13th at 9 a.m. Village Hall, please. We did meet on August 15th, and the minutes were included in your packet if there are any questions.
Questions of the, go
Would
ahead.
you like to make the announcement?
sure. The village purchased a solar panel array. It is 40 panels that were put on the police department roof last week. There are a couple of more steps to follow before it can be hooked up, and we're going to coordinate it with the upgrade to the police department power supply, and for the purposes of the drone truck. Is that the proper title?
Project, yeah, correct.
And after that, it's hooked into the grid. First Energy plays a part in making this happen. And then the solar panels are online, presumably reducing our electric bill. And in 15 to 20 seconds after we put it online, Danielle can file for the reimbursement from the federal government for the purposes of defraying the cost of the solar panels, at least in part.
Here.
Great, thank you, Mark, for
Success.
chasing that.
Public utilities, and kudos to the chief and the mayor and the street department for a true community effort with this installation, and then, of course, the follow-through to finish it.
Okay, questions of the public utilities?
The only one I had is, it's not a fully formed question. Number 3, the Fairview properties, is everybody at this point more or less happy with what's going on there with the drainage?
So far, our efforts have been successful in significantly reducing the flooding problem on Fairview.
Great.
But the ultimate solution, as the engineers pointed out, is the piping between the culvert between South Russell and
Russell.
And as a note on that, I went to the Russell Township Trustees meeting at 7 PM, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and brought them up to speed as to where we are. We're waiting for the OPWC. We don't know if it's going to be true, if it's going to come our way or not. And their reaction was that whether or not South Russell gets the OPWC money, Russell is interested in defraying half the cost.
Great.
So that presents a question for public utilities to consider. Do we go forward without the
Should the
OPWC?
OPWC money not come?
Or what I mean by that is, do we go forward with the project this year?
Let's find out about the OPWC.
Understood, but Russell's interested in paying half the cost, whether we get it or not.
If we get the OPWC money, we can't proceed with the project until after July 1st of next year.
They were a bit surprised at that news, and they wondered why South Russell wouldn't proceed with the project for the benefit of its residents without the OPC money, because the Russell people on the other end of the pipe are also being affected. I didn't have a good answer for that one.
Right, because,
Don't you have to get the grant first before you start the work?
oh, yeah, if you start the work, then
Yeah.
we're not getting the grant.
We can do this without the money.
But our balances are decreasing. and if we can
Understood,
get grant-
Danielle.
If we can get grant money.
But, yeah, well, I think their point was similar to how we waited on grant money for the restroom. Right?
And
And we
got,
wound up paying, I don't
For a
know,
trip.
40 grand more,
Double.
double. So their point was, if your residents need it, why don't you do it? If you do it, we'll pay half because our residents are on the other end. I said, well, our plan is the OPC money. And we'll do it after July 1st, but we should know soon
Yeah,
about.
I'm gonna
the
call every day from here on out. Because I need to do the final applications, and I need to know if we score well enough to do the finals. It's a bunch of work, and if I don't have to do it, I'm not doing it.
Well, so what I'm getting at is Russell is supportive. They didn't take a vote or anything because they want hard numbers, but they are willing to pay half at present. And they would do so if they see
Fantastic.
plans, numbers, et cetera. So that's my report from the Russell thing.
and it's a little bit different than what you were able to tell us in August, so good.
They are supportive.
Any other trustees up for reelection here?
Well, one's planning on departing soon.
Additionally, just from an observation standpoint, I drove Saturday morning the Fairview Hemlock area. The ditch has been cleaned at 113 Fairview, and the water was flowing well, and there was no standing water anywhere around that area. So that was all really positive in addressing resident issues there.
In addition, the little pond is now actually retaining water. The street department cleaned it out.
Yeah. Yep.
With careful attention to the turtles therein residing.
Oh my God.
Anything else on public utilities? Just to let you know, last week, Hippolyte Landscaping installed the trees at the corner of Manor Brook and Chillicothe. This is a part of the floodplain construction project to put the trees on top of the new culvert designed to reduce the sound and the view of some residents of the Manor condos of Route 306. So they are in, and our guys have been watering them, and they look very nice. Okay, we are now at ordinances and resolutions. Chris Bell, you want to do the first one?
Absolutely. Introduce and consider for adoption a resolution of appreciation for Timothy Alder. Move to waive future readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
I'll pass this around with you guys can sign.
All right, Chris Berger.
Introduce and consider for adoption a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor, declaring an emergency, waive further reading.
Second.
Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Jerry.
Okay, introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance approving the event contract between A1 Mr. Limo Inc. and the Village of South Russell for trolley service for the 2024 Fall Festival in the amount not to exceed $696, ratifying the mayor's execution of the event contract and declaring an emergency and waive further reading.
Second.
Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye. Move to adopt.
Second.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Bruce, can you do this next one?
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance approving the application for valuation deduction for destroyed or damaged property for the buildings demolished at 1208 Bell Road, ratifying the fiscal officer's execution and submission of the application and declaring an emergency. Move to waive readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Stuckey.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Jerry.
Second reading of an ordinance amending chapter 646 Parks of the Village of South Russell's codified code.
Thank you. All right, we have tabled this third reading. I've been looking into Power a Clean Future, checking them out with different communities. I had lunch with the head of this group last week. I'll be talking to the Public Utilities Committee to get this untabled. I think it's a good organization. I've heard a lot of good things about it. All right, Chris Berger, bills list.
Motion to ratify the bills list of August 15th, 2024 in the amount of $92,743.87 and August 30th, 2024 in the amount of $16,555.76.
Second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Danielle, new other.
I just had a question, so if there's anything on October 21st regarding the park, is that a council meeting, a park committee meeting, or?
It should be a sunshine, it's a park committee meeting to talk about the management of the park. It was the burn, but we're gonna get into some other things. And since we're gonna have two council members there with sunshine, 6:30, October 20. October 20th.
21st, but we also invited
Pete McDonald and Paul Piro.
And Paul Piro.
And then, just so you know, too, I forgot to tell you, so for the NOPEC grant funds, we did apply to get everything we have reimbursed for the service department roof. So those funds, we received, we haven't received them, but we have been awarded, so as soon as I receive them, I'll let you know. So for new other, Kavanaugh.
No, thank you.
Stuckey.
None.
Porter.
None.
Bell.
Yep, real quickly, I noticed in our upcoming meetings, we have 2 of them fall on federal holidays. I didn't know if that was an issue. If the village is closed already. October 14th is Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples' Day.
We're open that
We're open, okay, and November 11th is Veterans Day.
Oh,
You've made it come in before us.
maybe we need to change that one. I don't know.
November 11th.
Yeah, I think we do, because that's a state holiday.
Federal, yeah.
It's federal, I'm sure, but, part of the state recognized.
You want to move November the 11th?
To the 12th, which is a Tuesday?
I have a conflict.
Or the 13th? I mean, there's only 2 Mondays in November this year.
I can't do it on the 13th. You want to move it up to the 4th? No, that don't.
No, that's the
that
night
one
before
week
the
before.
election.
Leave it on the 12th, and I'll move I'll move that conflict.
So the 12th.
Yep.
So the November meeting was moved from the 11th to the 12th.
We
Okay,
need to do that by motion?
Yeah.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to move the November 11th, 2024 regular scheduled council meeting to Tuesday, November the 12th, 2024, 7 PM at Village Hall. So,
Second.
discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. We will keep the veterans breakfast on that morning.
That's all I got.
that's all.
Burger,
None.
candy. That's everybody.
We have a motion to adjourn at 8:42.
Move.
Moved by Kavanaugh, seconded by,
Second.
who's me? Burger, Porter. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, we are adjourned.